The National Association of Television Arts and Sciences, the Mid-Atlantic Emmys, have honored the ReelTeens Pittsburgh with not one, but 2 high school awards of excellence for our stories in the arts and culture category, and in the nonfiction category for our half hour about remake learning. How cool is that?
Testing.
All right, no, so here's how it's gonna go down.
The ReelTeens Pittsburgh.
ReelTeens Pittsburgh. ReelTeens.
ReelTeens Pittsburgh.
ReelTeens Pittsburgh. ReelTeens.
The ReelTeens Pittsburgh.
Next, on the ReelTeens Pittsburgh.
I was admitted to the COPE program at Western Psych.
We joined teenagers from all over Allegheny County, standing together to end the stigma associated with mental illness. A hurtful stigma that's all too real to our friends and family.
Yeah, high school wasn't a particularly fun experience.
Like teens from many local school districts, we too get trained by the renowned Allegheny County Stand Together program.
The adolescents really feel that it's okay to be who they are and that we're all in this together. No one is alone.
We take you to schools to meet students being trained to fight the stigma. At Propel Braddock Hills, they construct a giant thought bubble.
How could we get the group engaged in a way? So we thought something that people could write on.
And we talk to courageous teens, young people who suffered through the painful labeling and stigma, but now offer help and hope.
Don't let it define you, because you choose your life.
And we talk to mental health experts.
A lot of people have these symptoms, and it's part of an illness. It's part of something affecting them. And when they get treated, they feel so much better.
We're calling this program Stand Together, Help and Hope, a ReelTeens special. Stigma is when someone is mistreated or ostracized because of assumptions.
Stigma is a generalization, and the sad thing is stigma is found everywhere.
In my term, I think it means pain.
I would say that stigma is applying stereotypes and labeling people without really knowing their situation.
We're told every day not to judge people, not to judge a book by its cover. But to me, that's exactly what stigma is.
I kind of noticed how ignorant my friends were.
Adults do it to people, make people feel like they're stigmatized and feel like they're different.
They decide to discriminate against someone because of that, because of their difference.
They use these words that they don't even realize that it can hurt someone's feelings, and they don't really know the vocabulary of it.
They don't understand what people are going through. For instance, someone being called a bipolar instead of saying that someone has a bipolar disorder does make a big difference, because when you say someone's bipolar, you're categorizing them into that thing, which is, like I said, judging them, which I don't think is right.
It's just like, I have to tell them that you can't say these things because it can hurt someone that you know that you don't even know have a mental illness.
In addition to stigma, here are some statistics you should know about.
1 in 4 youth have a mental or substance use disorder in any given year.
1 in 5 teens have thought of suicide.
2 out of 3 youth with a mental health disorder do not receive the care they need.
We talked to Dr. Anna, who's researching why teens aren't getting the help they need.
My main research interest is in how do we get more teens into treatment for depression, anxiety earlier, where it could help them set them off on a more positive path. A lot of families might not talk about how common depression and anxiety are. Up to when people become young adults, 1 in 5 might have been diagnosed with some kind of mental illness. We see patients in our adolescent clinic, we talk to them about everything that's going on in their lives. And so I started to talk more to teens about, okay, well, what would really help is if you get help for depression or help for anxiety. And in some situations, the teens or the parents would say, no, I'm not ready for that, or bring up a lot of different reasons for why they didn't want to get treatment. And so I started to become interested in, well, is this just happening to me, or is this happening to other people too? I found that on average, it takes 10 years from somebody to show the first signs of a mental illness and to get treatment. And what can happen in those 10 years to a teen? When you're an adolescent, you're trying to develop this identity. So you're trying to move away from being a kid and show your parents that you can take care of yourself. And so there's a stigma that having a mental illness is having like a weak identity. It can be really tough when you're in it. If I broke my ankle, I would be in a lot of pain. But I'd be able to know that I'd broken my ankle and what I need to do about it. When you have something affecting your brain, it's hard for you to even be you and think about it. Seeing a lot of different people and hearing a lot of different stories has shown me how a lot of people have these symptoms, and it's part of an illness. It's part of something affecting them. When they get treated, they feel so much better because those types of symptoms go away and they're able to do things that they want to do. So sometimes it's frustrating from the medical side because you're thinking, wow, I wish people knew that they could do better instead of being kind of in it and stuck.
To find out more about how stigma is related to mental health and how to combat it, we participated in Stand Together training.
It's going to be difficult. Like I said, it might be a little awkward, but it's going to help us break down some of our own self-stigmas, as well as stigmas what we might have about each other in the process.
Stand Together works to change the thinking of students about mental illness.
I'm asking you to come out of your comfort zones. I would like you to respect each other, that you're all going to be in this together, especially with mental illnesses. When people are silent, that prevents them from getting help.
Humanize it rather than saying that thing is what they are and it defines them.
This is a severe brain disorder that causes disruptions in a person's emotions and thinking.
So we do ask you, talk about mental illness. Talk about it with your friends in the communities and with your families, and speak out when you see something that's stigmatizing. A lot of mental illnesses emerge in adolescence, so it's definitely a pivotal time to increase that education and awareness.
One of the things that happens with youth in particular is that those negative beliefs that exist out there in society about people who have mental disorders gets internalized by them.
A lot of the activities that we do in the training really focus on that we are more alike than we are different. And everyone either knows a friend, a family member, someone that is affected by a mental illness.
Cross the line if you've ever felt alone, unwanted, afraid, or hopeless. Cross the line if you know someone who has a mental illness. I know that was a difficult exercise. I want to thank you all for being vulnerable with me and with each other, because that's a very, very scary space. If we create an environment that it's more acceptable to talk about those things, people can get the help that they need. An important part of our program is the first-person narrative of someone with lived experience. What you don't know about me is that I have a mental illness. By the time I got to high school, I was starting to just be fake all the time because that was my normal. I didn't know how to be myself. I had several failed suicide attempts. I was self-medicating because I didn't know how to cope with the things that I was going through. And I was hiding from the world, and I was hiding from myself. And that's why this program is so important to me, because if I got help earlier, then I wouldn't have had to suffer for a really long time until I could get help. We found that when someone goes in and shares their story and puts a name to a face, that the adolescents really feel that it's okay to be who they are and that we're all in this together. No one is alone.
We also went to Propel Braddock to see how Stand Together works in schools.
Always be true to yourself, know your worth, love yourself, and be happy.
So in October, we had the members from Stand Together come out and lead a 2-day workshop that the students participated in. So each year, the Blackout Stigma Day is kind of like a staple at Braddock Hills High School.
We were tossing around ideas, and we were thinking, like, how could we get the group engaged in a way? So we thought something that people could write on. Previous years, there was something small, but it was something similar. They actually made a web of ideas. We kind of used that as an inspiration, and we thought, how about a bubble, like a thought bubble?
Today, your crew will get an opportunity to join our thought bubble. Inside, you'll have the opportunity to share your thoughts and reflect on shared experiences by taking time to read messages that are already in the bubble. On each wall is a prompt. The prompts are open your mind, speak your mind, and ease your mind. These activities help us to be transparent with each other, and it encourages us to step outside of our own bubbles and have a discussion about mental illness.
During the brainstorming session, there was just this giant game board idea, so we kind of ran with that.
So you'll start here. We'll roll both of these.
There's a lot of words people say. Actually, on our game board, we have different ways, and if it's a bad way, you have to go down the slide. And if it's a positive thing, you'll go up the ladder.
I think if they just understand what stigma is, then it just spreads awareness, because they subconsciously will probably spread it to others if they hear someone using something incorrectly.
More people know about what stigma is and how it affects different people, who it could affect. Whenever they did the What's Good, we were watching people's answers, so they asked them questions about stigma and then they answered it, and more people know about stigma, which is a really good thing.
You're not so ignorant on a topic. You don't just say things because you realize now what people actually go through, and it's not having a mental illness isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Because if you don't, then you don't know how people are going through, and the way if you handle it wrong, it sets off triggers for some people.
You go in and you get to see you could relate to other people's things, some things in there you could feel because you going through the same thing, so you can kind of correlate.
It's just a way to get kids to realize everybody's brain works different. There are many ways to talk about it, and you don't want to talk about it in ways that make people feel like they can't come to you.
I just think this is awesome. It makes everybody feel comfortable to say what they want to say and not hold it in. I just think it's a good getaway.
The projects are so engaging because they're student-led. So, I kind of tossed it to the team. What would you be interested in? What would make you want to learn?
Some of them are truly inspirational. I'd say it actually is heartwarming to see some of them and actually see what people want to actually help others to actually come out more and be truly themselves.
So would you say that college is overall a better experience than high school?
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely. It's, a whole campus of a bunch of people. High school is a little more confined.
If you want to talk about what went on while you were in high school and how that made you feel, just start a conversation with me and we can talk about it.
All right. Well, it started my freshman year. I needed to be the thinnest person in the room, and it escalated from there, and by the time January rolled around, I was admitted to the COPE program at Western Psych.
Was it more of a compulsion, or was it more of a thing you wanted to achieve yourself that was detrimental to your health in the end?
I think it's very different from motivation, so wanting to be the best. It's something that isn't talked about, something that people are expected not to talk about.
So would you say that you were defined by your anorexia when you were in high school?
I think the person who defined me most by anorexia was me, and I think that really set up barriers for myself. The way some people explain it is that an eating disorder is like an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend. So it makes you think that it's the thing that defines you and that you're nothing without it. And I know some people call it ED, to like eating disorder.
Yeah.
The first and the hardest part is realizing that you're a person outside of anorexia.
You had to give one wise word of advice.
Wise word of advice. Be honest with yourself and be honest with your healthcare providers. Oftentimes you can feel isolated and feel like if you reach out, someone will laugh at you, they'll judge you, but it's the only way you can start to let go of an eating disorder. Right after I came back from the hospital, and I came back to school, and I was worried that everyone would think I was fat. The first thing that someone asked me, it was a girl in homeroom, she said, "You look different." And I thought, oh God, this is it. She said, "Did you get a haircut?" And I don't know, it made me realize how much I blew it up in my mind. I think that really made a difference to me in my recovery, and it gave me the confidence to keep fighting.
You're better now, and you're better for it. I mean, you've overcome like all this stuff by the time you are 18.
Here at Pitt, I'm still seeing a dietitian and a doctor regularly. Things like this, like eating disorders, they can take years to recover from. I think it's been harder for me. A big part of my life is treatment. So you can never put it second. You always have to think about your health first, because that's the only way you can do what you want to do, ultimately.
So is there anything else you wanted to like touch on?
Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk to someone.
Our friend Colin learned to deal with stigma while he was in high school.
Yeah, high school wasn't a particularly fun experience. Freshman year was awkward. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I was in a different group than the popular kids. You know, we were a bunch of weirdos. I will admit that, but we were cool weirdos. It was kind of the outcast group, but we had each other's back. I feel like every school has a guy who wears the black shirt with the flames on it and puts hot sauce on everything. Every school has one of those. And he was my best friend. People were still nice to me, but in a different kind of nice than they would be to their friends. Like, almost like they were treating me as their like 3-year-old niece or something like that. Like, there were people who were like, "Hey Colin, how are you today?" And I'm like, good. Don't let people give you flack for what you like. If you want to like something, like it. Who cares? Well, Giggly Wiggly the Clown was a character I portrayed in Scare House. And basically, the whole essence of Giggly Wiggly is his laugh. I would pop out of a hidden panel, and I would jump out. Oh my gosh, it was the best experience of my life. I was pretty much a part of every fandom that you wouldn't want to be a part of, but I loved it, and I didn't let people tell me what to do. And after I learned not to let people tell me who I should be, I feel like my life got a little better.
I'm actually a high school counselor. My students don't necessarily use the word stigma, but they want to talk about not feeling like other people. I'll talk about my daughter specifically. I always say Ella was different from the moment she was inside of me. I knew that she was just wired differently.
I have PTSD. It's different from what you hear in the books or in the movies. I can't do things that I used to do. Some things just don't feel right. And part of having PTSD is that the trauma is always on your mind.
I think we reached out to counseling about age 7. The immediate impact I noticed was her loss of friends and activities. at an early age. She would isolate herself. Initially, I heard a lot of things like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not like everybody else.
I mean, it's difficult when your friends want to do things that make you upset, and you don't want to be like, oh, don't talk about it, or don't do this, or don't do that, because it upsets me, because you want them to live their lives too, and you don't want to hold them back.
If we didn't identify early on that Elle needed different types of supports than another kid, I worry because I look at my own students that didn't get help until maybe they were 14, 15, or 16, and I think, wow, if somebody would have helped them, or if they would have known to ask for help a lot younger, like Elle did, they might have not been in the situation they are right now.
I guess it's different when it's coming from like a teenager like me than when it's coming from, I don't know, a blog that you read on the internet or anything like that. You actually have it, and it's just different. It's not romanticized, it's real.
She's made me a better counselor by her opening my eyes to those feelings. I don't know what the perfect words are. I think the more we talk about it and practice using words that are more positive and talk about our strengths, the more chance we have that people will feel comfortable opening up and kind of digging into what we should talk about.
You are what chooses your path in life, not what has happened to you or what is happening. It's you. Don't let it define you, because you choose your life.
To the outside world, it's like, my name is Azar Carpenter, but you can also call me Hazel, and like I prefer you call me this name because it makes me feel more comfortable. But I feel like I'm putting on a facade when I do that. Like I don't feel like I'm like being me. So that gets me like down in the bums. Like I don't know why it does, but it just does. I like when people call me Hazel. It lets me know that they like understand that I'm figuring out who I am. Speaking from my own experience, like I know I can go days with being happy, but then I can, so like it'll be like one little thing after like a bunch of big things happen that just triggers me to just go back into that depressive state. It's similar to when you shake up a soda and then you set it down and you know someone else is going to go out and grab it, and then when they grab it and open it and everything just spills open. Like that's similar to what it is. Like that one little movement just triggers everything. Like I'll start singing, I'll start drawing, I'll start dancing. Like that's, when I sing too much, that's how you know what type of mood I'm in. Or if I dance too much, that'll tell you just like how my mood is. And it may seem really happy, but you just have to pay attention to like how often I do it. Because if I do it too often, that'll tell you exactly how life is at home. Or like what's going on in my head. If I can get something that I have a passion about and use it to help other people, like there should be nothing to stop me. After learning about mental health and talking to our peers, we decided to get into the community. Would you say that mental health, like the stigma for it, does it still exist?
Yes. There's a lot of things that's out here that's being overlooked because of money or just because a lot of people just don't care about things.
Mental health is a real thing, and lots of people, I think, they don't have someone to talk to.
We need to demystify everything related to mental health and the stigmas that are attached to it, right?
Stigmas and perceptions that everybody has of one another. Yeah. And I think the thing that when you talk about what breaks it down most, it's about getting to know one another on a personal level.
I think it's getting better, and you know, we're still not where we are. There's still probably some folks who do put a stigma around that, but I think it's really incumbent upon all of us, because we know mental health issues touches all of us.
Well, mental health is the same as physical health. Yeah. And if somebody has diabetes, you don't really have
a preconceived conception of it. If you start to look at it and understand it as more of a brain chemistry of what's happening, just like a chemistry that would happen with your heart, then you really understand that it's simply an illness that needs to be treated and can be treated.
It's enormously important, and we have an opportunity here to do it in Pittsburgh because we have the expertise here, we have the organizations, we have the goodwill, and we have people that are thinking about it in intelligent ways, so there's no better place to be than here to figure it out.
As a group of people, we need to stand together and just stop stigma as it is.
Mental health is something that needs to be talked about.
Even though they may not show it, everyone has fears and insecurities.
We all kind of have to stick together and accept each other for who we are.
Again, taking away that I'm not like alone in my endeavors to be happy.
How many teens go through similar things?
So to talk to people who actually have had mental health issues in the past.
It was eye-opening. It was eye-opening to hear.
It's not every day that you would see someone confident enough to step forward in front of a camera and express their feelings.
This is very important, so listen.
I think talking about it in this honest way to other teenagers.
It's to spread awareness and to help other people.
And that's a part of breaking the stigma.
I personally believe that I will fight stigma by continuing to help educate my fellow classmates.
Just by being as aware of it as possible and standing up to stop it if I see it at any point.
Vow on my behalf.
Not make assumptions about people and to be open-minded.
Because people really need to know about stuff like this.
Mainly, I guess, I'm just gonna keep pushing out the message.
You can break the stigma on your own. You don't have to necessarily do what Stand Together did and do what we're doing right now. You just have to start at home. You have to start by yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, okay, how can I be better?
Until that happens, I guess you can't really break the stigma, and I really hope that this episode helps with that.
For teens to look at and say, wow, I can't overcome this, I can't ask for help, and it's okay.
If you or someone you know need help, call 1-800-273-TALK or text START to 741-741. And for more information, visit www.leadpittsburgh.org.
This program would not be possible without the following, who care about breaking the stigma and talking openly about mental illness.
Lead Pittsburgh.
The Fine Foundation.
The Jewish Healthcare Foundation.
The McWin Family Foundation.
The PNC Foundation.
The R.K. Mellon Foundation.
The Grable Foundation.
The Mary Hillman Jennings Foundation.
The Heinz Endowment.
And RAD, the Allegheny County Regional Asset District.
Thank you.